Now, the SIU, in other news, has obtained an order from the Special Tribunal setting aside a contract awarded by the Department of Defense. We'll tell you more about it in just a moment, but let's bring in the SIU's spokesperson, Kaiser Kganyago. It's great to talk to you. Before we get to this defense contract of 257 million rand, would you mind if we picked your brain about the issue involving Collins Letsoalo and the CEO of the Road Accident Fund? Welcome and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
So, Kaiser, it's a preliminary report by the SIU that found that Letsoalo interfered with procurement processes in a bid committee's recommendation of one company. What does that mean in terms of the processes that follow? I mean, does the SIU ever release a final report on an issue, or is that an NPA issue?
No, we do. We do. At the end of each and every investigation, we take the final report to the president. And in this case, we are also going to be doing that. But in the process, I think it is helpful that we give updates to Parliament, and that is what we have been doing to SCOPA and to other committees that were calling us around these issues. So, but at the moment, we will do what we are supposed to do in terms of the investigation.
Right. So in terms of the CEO position and the CEO's involvement in any kind of bidding process, Kaiser, how does that usually work?
Yeah, when we do our investigation, we look at the processes and we don't go look at people. Therefore, in this particular instance, we would have looked at the processes and we found that they were done in an irregular manner. And then we then had to go and check who was involved. And that is why at this preliminary stage, we were able to say the evidence we have taking us to this direction that involves the CEO as involvement in a manner that is not supposed to have been the case. Therefore, that is where we are. We have not come up with the final information to say this is what the wrong is, because the investigation is going on. But also we feel that we need to have access to all the documentation and access to all the people that were involved so that we can finalize our investigation and refer where there is a need for us to refer.
Right. And it's not just the 79 million rand lease deal for offices in Johannesburg that your preliminary report has highlighted, right? There are other allegations outside of the lease irregularities.
No, definitely. We are, like I said, we are not investigating a person.
Right.
We in our investigation, you will remember we were dealing also with the double payments that were done by lawyers who ended up getting money from subpoenaing the bank account of RAF, and then later on get paid, and then they just keep the money. All of those things are being investigated, and there are many others there that are being investigated. Therefore, at the end of our investigation, we'll be in a position to indicate. But one thing that I want to make clear is the way we do business as the SIU is that we do not wait for the end of the investigation for us to implement whatever needs to be implemented. If we find that we have concluded on a matter and action has to be taken, we take action at that point.
Well, the SIU has been incredibly busy, also now obtaining an order from the Special Tribunal setting aside this contract awarded by the Department of Defense. It's 257 million rand awarded to Software One Expert South Africa. That's the company. So, Kaiser, I want to just get your take on this. The tribunal's order is dated the 30th of April, so about a month ago, the 30th of April this year. But the department's award of this licensing contract happened in 2018.
No, definitely. It happened in 2018, and then we got a proclamation that was proclamation number R41 of 2019, which was giving us permission to investigate. And that is when, after our investigation, we found that this contract of 257 million was given to Software One, but they did not follow competitive bidding process. Just imagine a whole amount of more than 250 million, and there's no competitive bidding process. They just gave it to this company. And then the second thing that we found is that they violated all the applicable laws in terms of getting this process finalized. Thirdly, there was no budget provision that was made for the purchase of these licenses, which basically means it was not budgeted for. And then fourthly, the licenses were ultimately not utilized because obviously it was not planned for. Therefore, all of those things were found during our investigation, and then we took the matter to the Special Tribunal this year, and then the Special Tribunal has now set it aside.
This 257 million rand that you say was paid to Software One, it was for Microsoft licenses. What do you understand that to be, Kaiser? Microsoft licenses to the value of 257 million rand?
Yes, they were doing Microsoft licenses. They didn't go directly to Microsoft. They worked through this company called Software One, which then got the licenses for them for the use. But those licenses were never used. Therefore, this is just year-to-year licenses. You must remember, when you deal with the licenses from Microsoft, there are yearly license fees that need to be paid. Therefore, this 257 or just over 257 is meant for that. But obviously, all of that was irregular, including the profits that are there. And we are saying, yes.
So yeah, there shouldn't have been any profits, right? Because you can just get a license from Microsoft directly.
But as long as you use the third party, therefore the third party is going to have to charge you a markup one way or another, and that is what happened here, and that is what we are dealing with. If you look at the judgment, it is clearly saying that we must. They must repay all the profits that they would have paid to this company. They would have been paid by the department to the SIU.
And then, do we know the figure for what the department should have paid for these Microsoft licenses? So we know they paid 257 million rand, but what would this licensing exercise have actually cost them if they'd gone straight to the source? Do we know that?
No, we don't have that figure. The order clearly indicates that in the case, the Software One must determine this amount and get experts to do that. And then if there is a dispute between the SIU and Software One, then we will be in a position to refer this matter back to the tribunal for a ruling on it. Therefore, that is the process that will be done after the ruling, yes. Yeah,
so as I said, this was a 2018 acquisition by the Department of Defense, so it means 7 years have passed. Does that mean we also calculate the interest over that time?
No, definitely. Once we determine the amount, we will then determine what interest they would have received from it, because now that the contract has been deemed to be unconstitutional and irregular and unlawful, therefore no one must benefit from an irregular contract. Therefore, all of those monies must be paid with interest.
And I understand an independent expert will have to be appointed to determine all of these figures we're talking about. Kaiser Ganiago, thanks very much for your time, and thanks for giving us your take as the SIU on a whole range of developing stories this afternoon. Kaiser Ganiago speaks on behalf of the Special Investigating Unit.